It's up here in the corner.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to whisper.
That's fine. You don't do that.
I'm not, it's fine. Okay, so the things that Ms. Wilson wants us to look at are our CBA 1 data, our TEACS resource system for pacing. Kind of go over what we have gone through and see if TEACS resource system gives us enough days. And then we're gonna present that to our curriculum department. And then schedule the rest of the 9 weeks. Okay? So, we have our CBA. Y'all have y'all's quizzes, y'all's data from your CBA for quizzes. Not CBA. I didn't mean CBA. I mean the first exam. Yeah. I'm going crazy.
Were we supposed to be on Zoom?
No.
Okay.
It's over there.
No.
So overall, how did your kids perform on the first CBA?
Not that great. CBA, you're not talking about ours.
Not CBA. I don't know why I keep saying CBA.
I
I mean,
Exam 1.
exam 1, because in her email it said CBA, so now it's like connecting in my head that it was a CBA, but it's not a CBA. It's just exam 1. How do your kids do?
Average of 68.
Better than I thought they would do. But I'm learning, and not just Algebra 2, but I'll even freak out if I deviate from problems in my notes too much. Then there's a big struggle. There's a very much a dependency on, well, we haven't done one like this. Well, yeah, you kind of put topics together and you have, but yeah.
How did your kids do, Chad? You have the
Mine has really struggled with messing up on negatives and fractions. So we do those pretty regularly. So I would take off 1 or 2 to 4 points, depending on where they mess up with the negative or the fraction. So we're gonna really work, like we do fractions all the time in their notes, because fractions and negatives are gonna be there all the time. So that was they could get the concept if I didn't have it be a fraction or a negative, but as soon as it was a fraction or a negative, we didn't do so well. So we're working on fractions and negatives.
better how your kids do.
Average of 68 for the 23 of them that were there that day. I had 1 perfect for a repeater. Yay.
The perfect score?
For the repeater kid.
Hey, that's better than nothing.
Oh, yeah. He told me yesterday that he's going to start skipping my class because he doesn't like coming to afternoon classes. Oh,
Is that for real?
Yeah. He said, this is why I lost credit last year. It's because I just stopped coming. But overall, I found out the ones that were just either doing nothing literally in class or copying from a neighbor on other things.
Mm-hmm.
And so it showed me which ones knew nothing, which was a lot of them. I had a lot in the 40s and 50s.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's either they get it or they don't? There's no middle ground anymore?
I think it's either that you try or you don't. It's not necessarily whether you get it or not, it's whether you try at all. Because the ones getting 40s and 50s, that means they literally didn't even try to match the equation to their notes. Because overall, a lot of the equations were like their notes.
I'm starting to notice that most of my kids, and like if they come in and they see it's too hard, they know they can retake it, so they stop trying.
Yeah.
And
You ever see that?
Yeah, mine will, and they'll tell me like before they've even got the test back graded when it retakes, because they know they've done poorly, so they didn't really try, or they'll stop halfway through. And it's frustrating for me because they've already seen the test. So I'm trying. I was doing corrections, but now I don't know if I'm going to let them do corrections because it's just way too easy for them to not learn anything because they've already seen it. So I can't decide.
What I do for my honors kids is my retake is I pick 10 questions that were similar, and they have to write out steps for each question. It's on Canvas, and so it tells them right or wrong whether they got the 10 right. So I do that first, and then they do it again, and they have to write their paragraph explanations, and if they're not good enough and don't get above a 70, I don't give them points back.
Because I thought making them come in and do corrections was gonna, curtail that, but no, like I had like 40 of them come in and want to do corrections, it was crazy.
Well, the grading policy says corrections. Can we do retest instead?
You can do a retest as long as you're giving them an opportunity up to an 80, is the,
On your
Right.
note, but the grading policy is so.
no?
Grading policy, what, no, go ahead.
The grading policy says if you get a 70 or below, you can retake for an 80. So that means if you
Not
get a
anymore.
70,
Not the new one.
there's a new one?
The new one kind of gives teacher discretion up, corrections may be done up to an 80.
Right, but then a 75 kid,
No,
Yeah.
the way it's worded now, you can kind of say that you're like,
Like a
if
79,
anybody makes below an 80, you can let them correct it up to an 80. The ambiguity's out of it.
okay,
which is what I do.
but we have to correct to an 80, not 70.
No, up to an 80.
So I can say 70 for my class
You can
still.
say 70. Yeah,
Okay.
it says up to an 80.
On your corrections, well, how do you make them do corrections? They don't make them do corrections.
Separate sheet of paper and they have to work it out correctly and then say where they went wrong.
Have you tried to make them write a new problem like that one? And solve it? If you make the corrections a little harder, it might deter them from just, wanting to do corrections.
Mine hate writing the paragraphs. Because
You
I
have to work
grade
on
the
more than
paragraphs,
paragraphs.
like I grade them hard. And if you don't include the steps, I will give you like 2 points and then you won't get up to your 70.
But I didn't grade corrections that hard this time and that was probably what.
Well,
Well, I think,
and then,
I mean, again, it's the first time week, so you can get harder as we go. I mean,
and I feel like you and I had a conversation on corrections, and I told you kind of what I did. And, you know, I always give them a review that's very, very similar to the test, just different problems, so there's no surprises, honestly. Might shorten it, you know, but then it's on them, and then they send study. But are you making them come after school, right?
And I thought that would deter them. They would want to-
Right, they would want to come after school. I haven't done corrections yet this year, so I don't know how it's going to go. I mean, the pre-cal kids seem to be doing pretty well that I have, and I know you're out too, but something similar. So I don't know, maybe it'll get better as they acclimate. I don't know. I mean, it's good if they come, right? And they want to. It's good if they come if they want to learn what they did wrong and how they can fix it, rather than just I want a grade. Which is kind of the purpose is come figure out what you did wrong. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll give you more feedback once I start doing them. You might have the same problem. I don't know.
how did your things go? How many sections do you have?
3.
You have 3 sections.
So it's including the few that did the review in the MyForMath for the extra credit. But first period had an average of 81, 7th 77, and 8th was 78. So overall average of 79.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I was
Mine are
kind of
pretty terrible.
But before the extra credit, they were right at 7.
Yes, 68.
Yeah, mine was like a point or 2 higher than those.
Yeah, mine's only a 62, but I have one section that's in the morning, and half of them don't show up until 20 minutes into the class period, and so they've missed the entire lesson.
My first period, surprisingly, was the best one. I was just really shocked by that.
On the overview, what was your worst question on this test? And have we covered, because I know we went back and kind of scaffolded some of it. Do you see on the overview? Which one is your red? Mine was the domain range word problem, and then both of the select all that apply. Those are the ones that are the absolute worst on.
I'm sorry, you said the ones where they were like had to check that they're both
Select
one.
all that
Yeah,
apply.
both apply.
Yeah, mine was
The
the worst.
multiple ones,
Like the new question that'll be on the CBA.
but in how they're doing a STAR test. I mean, our kids aren't taking a STAR test, but
Yeah, my worst one was the one about the monthly fee, the word problem.
the what?
If you
The
join
monthly fee?
The monthly
Yes.
fee. Second worst was select all that apply. Third worst was select all that apply. And fourth worst was which of the following parent functions does not have a domain of all real numbers? And we
Yes.
gave them the graphs.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice this until after they took B test that I had all the parent functions on the wall because I made them create posters, so they literally had.
It was open note.
Mine was all open note and.
Oh, you did open note? I didn't do open note.
Oh, it was open note, crazy kid.
Oh, well, good for y'all.
I didn't.
I didn't do it either because I don't know. Yeah.
Oh wait, my sister.
Hold on, I'll pause it real quick.
No,
Okay.
that wasn't, yeah, okay, so.
Oh,
And I'm not trying to argue with you, I just,
Oh, I'm not trying to argue with
yeah, I don't
you.
want you to think anything about it.
Jeff, I adore you,
So,
and I
I-
absolutely agree with almost everything that comes
So-
out of your mouth. Now, you have a couple things that are a little weird. No, I'm kidding.
so on this, do you feel like they did better on domain and range on these questions than they have in the past? Like, do you feel like we're finally getting an understanding of domain and range, or are y'all's not high? How are y'all's, like, domain and range of, we had a set of ordered pairs of a graph. What was y'all's on that, on the graph? I mean, it was 60%. What, do you have a question?
Nothing.
Which question was it?
It was,
It was like 1 and 2.
yeah, of the graph, 1 and 2.
I feel like they do better when it's literally just a list of points. But then when you put an actual continuous graph in, it becomes more of a struggle. Just trying to, I'm always telling them left to right, domain.
Yes.
Where, if you go left to right, is there any spot in the graph? It's not there. Or like if I tell them, what's the furthest most left you can go? And they'll say, well, it stops at -5, like, because that's where the grid line stops. I'm like, well, you're not wrong, but I'm
Right.
talking about on the graph, so, I don't know. Again, does that go back to these were the folks that were at home for most of the year, 2 years ago, when they missed Algebra 1, and, how seriously did they take it? Were they photo mapping? Were they doing the work, genuinely? I mean, I guess we won't ever know.
Were these the kids that were first year COVID or second year COVID out of the
This was the year we came back and we had you could be at home and you could be in on
For the
Zoom.
11th graders, if you have 12th graders, the 12th graders were the ones that
They
were.
were the ones
That were
that
the
lost
first-
the last two.
the last couple months.
Yeah.
And for my kids, I would say in honors, they have gotten it much better, and but again, we're honors different level, but they even get like, if it needs to have a break, like we do unions and we get all that, and we did really great. And I even like try to update it by adding when is it positive, negative, when is it increasing, and they did like phenomenally well on that as well. So I was pretty shocked that they
Did they really?
Yeah, they just took it and went with it, and they did really, really good with domain range, positive, negative, increasing, decreasing for instance.
You probably had the kids that actually showed up on the Zoom meet
Passionately.
and didn't just log in and turn the camera off and then do whatever they were doing. Okay, so this is your first year. How is it teaching domain and range?
All of my kids were very honest. So like, yeah, we went home on COVID and we put them at everything.
Does anybody else have an issue with catching somebody on photomath every single day?
Actually, no.
No, I keep giving them detention. So they
It's
don't-
not my algebra 2, it's not my algebra 2, it's my college prep kids who are photomathing how to add and subtract fractions.
It's because it's all they did and they don't know
Yeah,
any different. And,
The college prep ones, they did it all throughout algebra 2.
Yes.
and they're going to pay for that when they go into a college algebra class and they're paying for it. It's going to bite them eventually.
Oh, you know how many times I've told them that?
They don't understand it now, but if they're in college prep math, I'm assuming they're going to go to college. Is that the intention of that class? I would assume that they're going to go.
It waives the TSI if they finish it, but I don't know that that's the intention.
What?
That the kids in there are wanting to go to college.
In the college prep class, I would say a good, over 60% of each class has the intentions of going to college. So, that's why I'm letting them do the online portion because, like right now, the main focus of Texas College Bridge is like fractions and mixed numbers, ratios, whole numbers. There's some geometry in there, but it's like it's not a lot to do with what they're gonna use in college algebra. So what I've been doing is I've been taking, we only work so many days on Texas College Bridge, and then we started like pre-algebra concepts. So we did evaluating functions today. Just that kind of stuff. And so they're not just doing adding and subtracting fractions. Because
Are you
there's 60
documenting everything that you're doing so that we can develop that scope and sequence?
it's on Canvas.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm
I lied.
sorry.
Well, it will be.
Okay.
I'll get it together. Noted.
That would be great.
But yeah, that's the whole goal, is to develop, to at least prepare them, because a lot of those kids in there do have the gaps.
Right.
That because they photomathed or they were at home, missed algebra 2 and all that stuff. So I'm trying to help them at least be successful and maybe get a D.
Well, and the scary thing is, and we talked about it earlier, but if sixth grade has so many teaks, and those kids that were at home that sixth grade year, who was doing their work for them, and what did they miss? And so when they get up here, what are we going to be dealing with? Like,
Those are
it's
freshmen.
just,
Mhm.
yeah. So
Do
I
any
mean,
of you have freshmen? See, I don't have freshmen either. Now, I've talked to freshman teachers, and they look like they're going crazy. But, I mean, isn't that normal?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so looking forward, looking at our calendar, is there anywhere in our calendar that we think that we could have used more days, according to TEKS resource system?
Right, so we did the math on Teach Resource Systems, and it wanted us to cover content. It gave us 37, it wanted us to teach for 37 days. We only had 32 days to teach, because we took 3 days at the beginning to like classroom expectations, get to know us stuff, and then start like a review over these are the things we expect to know. And then between math testing, CBA testing, PSAT testing, holidays, we only had 32 days of instruction. So we lost 5 days in there. We lost 5, well, from what we could test, what we could teach, and then what they expected, we were short 5 days. When I did it, the calendar, I had to move 7 days worth of stuff to the next 9 weeks. But in the second 9 weeks, we have 35 days of instruction, but we have 43 days to instruct. But I haven't done the calendar. Like, do you all know what things we might be missing for? Like, I tried to look, but I couldn't find any. Is there any more testing? Oh, we have to do 4 days of testing. Because we have to do CBAs and finals, right? Correct? Right? You answered my email, right? You said we have to do CBAs and finals. So we lose 4 days of instruction there. So that brings us down to 39. So that means we only have 4 days to spare. And I had to move 6 over. So we're going to be short again for this 9 weeks.
You had to move 6 to this?
I had to move 6 from last 9 weeks to this 9 weeks. So that put us at 41 days we needed. And we're only going to get 38 days.
Oh, it's fine.
Have y'all done solving absolute value inequalities? Has everybody done solving absolute value inequalities?
No, should be starting. I put that down as y'all starting that on Monday.
Did you already do it?
I did it. I've
The
done it.
inequalities?
I've gotten to inequalities.
That's good.
But I've just done a day of it.
Well, we have to do, so we have to solve them and then put them on a number line and then put them on a graph. So I gave us 4 days to do it
we haven't done graphing.
on a number line and on a graph.
We've done on a number line,
So the graph then.
but I have not done a graph. But I say, that I thought that we were ready to move forward. But looking at my test scores today, they've improved pretty significantly. We went from, no, we haven't, we did not improve. But I feel like I have a lot of kids that are 95 to 90 or above a 70 or above, or they're 40 and below. I have no in the middle kids.
Right, and that's what we should talk about earlier, the try. I think it's, if you're trying, you're doing well. If you're not trying, you're not doing well.
Because the test wasn't hard.
I don't know,
I did not make it hard.
and I don't know how we motivate them to start wanting to try. That's what
I
we
just-
work on.
I have 4 in this class that have gotten 0 grades.
And I mean,
Are you
I,
watching it right now?
Yeah, our only class is going right now, so.
I mean, in my honors class, like, it's the same thing with my, I'm noticing that kids are not putting in the work. I can tell they're not putting in the work. They're doing poorly on this stuff. So-
Domain and range, they nailed again. I mean, for the most part, about 77 and above. But I just don't, I don't know if we need to. Is there anything that they desperately need right now that we need to go back and evaluate before moving forward that's gonna really hurt them in the future? Does that make sense?
Does, but I feel like at this point, we've delayed a long time. And we've tried to reteach in different formats. And that it's on them to come in to try to learn the material.
Mm-hmm.
Because us just wasting more time. I know it sounds bad wasting, but the ones that get it are doing fine.
So so the thing I do like about these resources, we do an overview of all functions quick, and then we break them down each time. So we're gonna spiral in the stuff that they probably missed, the ones they had to check the boxes, like which apply, the domain and range, which one it goes to negative quantity. We'll hit those again. We hit cubic, we hit quadratic, we hit linear, and we hit exponential. So we hit all those again. So we'll be able to reteach it again as the year goes on. Because basically we learn a function, we work for it for 3 weeks, we learn a new function, we work for it for 2 to 3 weeks. So I think we just need to basically, on those questions that they missed, we're gonna have to really hit hard at the beginning, because it looks like they're doing bad on domain and range, and then right with the characteristics basically. And that's how every unit starts, is we start with the characteristics of that function again. So I think maybe when we do transformation, we need to go over the characteristics of that function once it's been transformed.
Well, I think even if we do the transformations, we can talk about domain range. Like after you transform it,
And then if
You
with
could
all
put a
three
dom-
forms too, right? Because which ones are y'all struggling with?
well, so you mean like as far as set builder, inequality? So I'll just tell you, like, and I don't know, maybe Rachel, you can talk to this, but in pre-cal, it's all interval, really interval heavy notation. So I focus on that one a lot because that's what calculus is going to be about too. Is if they, I mean, granted, I don't know how many of our on-level population is going to make it to calculus, but
I mean, that's
Yeah.
our goal, though.
I mean, it would be nice, right? If
Yeah.
you got people from there, obviously, but you know, I mean, we have a hard enough time retaining 50% of our honors population going into calculus, so that's a whole other thing. But for that reason, I emphasize the interval notation much more of the 3. So, and they seem to pick up on it pretty quick. Like they
Did y'all do
understand.
the bases to show them how to do the things?
I did, yeah.
The bases of inequality, do you do that one?
Faces and inequality.
Bases, so if it's like greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, it's a solid point, solid line, brackets. That's one base.
Oh, well, that's.
And
okay,
then greater
okay.
than, less than, open circle, open line, parentheses, infinity for the bow tie. All those go together.
What is the line, what is the face?
forgot the bow
What's the, what is the mouth?
The mouth is a dash line or solid line for less than or equal to would be a solid line. One of my kids today did a really clever one because I think he had forgotten and it was an extra credit
Okay,
question.
and then this
It's
is,
a dash open line. He literally made like a solid smiley face, and then I say open circle a lot, so he made his mouth open, which I thought was clever because that technically isn't right, but I mean I'm gonna accept it because I was like, oh, that's like, he knows the line will be open to some capacity. So
never seen
dash
that, that's awesome.
bases of inequality is what I call them, and we
Faces
do
of
that. And I literally, so we wrote it on the interval one, we wrote it on the inequality one, like by the time, and it was an extra credit question today. Like they have to write it out so much for me, and that usually helps. And I make kids write it on STAR. As soon as STAR test says they can go, they have to write. So my STAR class, we practice writing this too. All right,
But, so we didn't, so as far as pacing in days, Do we think
So
we're
if
all
you-
gonna be able to cover what we need to for the CBA?
I mean, if I moved everything back, I think we're all capable of getting through 2x2, because I did give you 4 days of inequalities. So if you need, we could adjust that. Do we really think we need 4 days of inequalities? So that's solving them, and then getting them on a line, and then getting them on a graph. Or we can
Graphing
spend,
and shading?
this is for y'all, because right now I have you having 4 days of it.
I think so.
My kids, yeah, they all photo map.
Well, I mean, I think that would be good because they haven't really seen absolute value, a lot. They didn't see absolute value in Algebra 1, did we? No. But they've seen 2 by 2s.
They've seen absolute value enough.
Did they?
And you
It's been a
said
hot
they're photo
second.
mapping a lot in class?
No. All they did before was photo map.
Oh, all they did,
So
okay.
now,
There's,
In-
okay,
I'll have them do assignments in class, and then even I'll let them do it outside of class, but the only time it gets done is in class, and they don't photo map it. The ones that don't do it are too lazy to even go home and photo map it. So it either gets done right there with me, and there's no phones allowed, like your phone, I let them use it for music, and it stays flat on your desk. If you pick it up at all, anything that comes flat off your desk, it's mine, right there. Period, point blank, kids don't fight it, nothing, they accept that they get to use it for music, and that's it, and they're content with that. If I see Snapchat, anything else on your screen, it's mine. No one has fought it, made it a big deal. So, okay, I'll let you use your music, but we're only doing the assignment, we're doing your work. And everyone's been cool with it. They do it in class, but they struggle with it, they're always coming up to me, I'm helping them through it, but yeah, they're too lazy to even put that outside of class now. But they're at least trying to learn it, they're just struggle bus because they photo map for a year and a half, 2 years.
Right.
So 4 days is good on solving.
Yes.
Okay, so then I have 2 days of formulating, because we all talked about doing the day of notes and the day of assignment over it. And then 3 days of solving systems of 2x2s and all the forms. And then a work day on the end. And it's
So-
kind of,
What were the
Notes
forms
on
again?
on systems.
Substitution.
Like setting up.
it's, the first is
I know
just setting up,
Gaussian
and that's just one
elimination,
thing. So can you write the equations
Substitution.
From Word doc.
from Word doc?
Okay.
The formulate.
Graph.
And then
Graphically?
all the solving.
Yeah, that has to be what it is.
Okay.
What forms?
Substitution, Gaussian elimination, and graphically.
So this is just 2x2s. So I don't remember the text off 2x2s. Christine,
Okay.
can you help with that?
Yeah, I'm looking at them right now.
I have them.
3E,
No, you go ahead.
okay, 3EFG.
Yeah, 3E. So which one, and what forms are those for 2x2s? They have to solve it by,
Formula systems of at least 2 linear inequalities and 2 variables. So it doesn't specify, so that
so what is
you would
the,
subsume
what is
that
the,
you're doing all of them, huh?
yeah, what is the subsume part of
Right, you
those?
would subsume that you're doing all of them.
Okay, so we're gonna do substitution, elimination, graphing,
Okay.
and also inequalities is in this part. But you have 4 days to do those things.
Can we do the word problems after we go over solving?
Yeah, I can move it if you want. Do you want to do
Because
that?
I kind of like it whenever I go over substitution, elimination, and graphing to check, like substitution first, or
Right.
substitution, elimination, like the first day or two,
Mm-hmm.
and then we go over graphing to check your work, and then we do a word problem.
Doing the word problems at the end, basically. Right?
Yeah, because then you do word problems, set them up, and solve, and then show me a graph of your solution.
Not a problem.
We kind
Okay,
of
so if I, on the CBA, if I put a graph of, system of inequalities, a 2 by 2 system of inequalities,
inequality.
inequalities, and ask which system is this a graph of, you know, they should be able to do that, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
so
but
here's
that's
the,
making the equations from a graph, so they have to know how to solve, like do y equals mx plus b, and then is it written in standard form?
and here's the other problem on that, because the CBA is the week book.
No, they're actually written
And
in,
y equals mx plus b? Okay, totally fine.
You think?
Well, I mean, they're most likely gonna miss it, but it's something we need to test.
Well, I agree. I don't know how much success we're gonna get on that question.
Right, but I feel like it should be tested that way, and that if it is low, then we can talk about it and try to formulate a plan, but it should be tested that way.
I'm trying to replace that one question that's a 3 by 3 inequality. system.
So the only thing with that is when we're teaching it, make sure you cover that because unfortunately with the way the CBA and PSAT testing that last 2 weeks, it's like, we're gonna have 3 days of, 4 days of instruction, 2 days of CBA. They're out 2 days. We test on Wednesday, and we have the formulate, the word problems on the last 2 days. So make sure you can cover that stuff, that question before the CBA, which is on that.
I don't have to have that standard on this CBA.
No, I'm just making
I
sure
can
that they
take that
know
off.
that.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
I'm good. I think it's a good question.
My most missed 2 from the current test for testing are given a graph, what's the transformed function?
And that is just teaching it in the,
And then wasn't that the question we were just talking about, was
Yeah.
taking your graph and writing?
Yep.
So
So,
the test today?
yeah, on the test today, that was my most missed. Second most missed is what is the range?
you're good.
Which number was that, given the?
Here's the hard line.
Given the graph, number 7. I sort by accuracy when I scroll to the bottom.
Okay.
Okay, so I think that the 9 weeks, the 9 weeks is good. Y'all already have notes over in rank. We all agreed on those? I sent them out?
Inequality? I have not.
Okay, double check on that. Because I think I can actually make them longer now that we have more time. So I can actually revamp them. No?
I'm gonna be doing somewhere in there a whole lesson on how to graph a line and make the kids draw some lines on graph paper.
So
Well, that's what I was
reinforcing
thinking, if we might need to
Just
go
might
back
be
and
interesting.
reinforce graphing, because a lot of them, you could probably give them an equation right now, and they would be able to identify a slope or an intercept.
Yes, it is 7th grade,
I know.
but they've used Desmos since 9th grade, and so therefore they have no clue.
Now, on Desmos, if they don't do the lockdown, Desmos will shade for them on it.
I don't know, Christy, does that, the one you're
Yes.
putting into CBA, is it gonna be the one that's the
It's the
star?
star one.
So it doesn't.
So
Well, that's what I'm saying, if they were just to pull up Desmos
Oh.
and use that, they would do it for them instead of actually making them do
if
it.
you're not using Texas Desmos, you know, you go at the top, go to the
Right.
top and change it to the star.
Yeah, but they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, do you wanna look at next 9 weeks?
Yeah, we can look at next time. I made that, it's already edited in the calendar. So it's the 2022-23 Algebra 2 lesson plan. And I did not get through all
Oh,
of it.
second quarter?
Yeah, second quarter. I didn't get through all of it because I have some questions that I don't know what to do.
Is
now.
the one on the left last year, the one on the right is this year?
Yeah, so yeah, the one on the right is what I was moving over. Because I had to readjust it because we had to add those days. So right now, I don't think I'm giving enough time at the top. I know that's gonna have to be extended, but I don't want to extend it too much because it's already last 9 weeks stuff. So right now, okay, we talked about this, we moved it, you want formulate at the end of the T.
I think it's beneficial to try to do a summary thing where they get given a word problem, make the equations, solve the equations, graph the equations.
Yes.
I feel like it would be a good summary piece. And then like we can even restrict the domain. And why do we have to restrict it? We're not, where you might not do
Okay, right, so we would start off,
No, I mean,
that.
it's not a terrible idea to increase the rigor,
Well, like do like
Yeah.
the 4 corners thing, you know, where you have the word problem up top,
yes.
then you have to make the equations, you have to solve the equations, interpret the answer into a sentence form, and draw a picture.
So, I mean, it'd be a great lesson. It'd be a great idea.
You have to do 2 of them in a day.
At once.
So I like it at the end. And it's a good
I
summary.
agree, I'm hoping everyone else. Because I'm moving it.
Sweet, let's go.
Okay, so we do formulate that, so then it would start with 2 days of substitution. 3 by 3s.
Yes.
Well, substitution elimination.
So I had that we did Gaussian elimination with technology and matrices the next 2 days.
Oh,
So this is where we kind of need to discuss because we did a little different.
are we not just doing normal elimination and substitution?
Sorry, I was trying to find you.
On 3 by 3s, are we not
Are
doing?
we on the
No, I
drive?
don't. Yeah, oh yeah, I'm on the counter if you want to. But I don't know. So.
The 3 by 3s?
So we're doing substitution
Okay,
first.
Yeah.
And then we last year just did that and then went into the matrices solve.
Yes. You should do that.
And so what are you asking about?
We're not gonna do normal elimination for 2 by 2s?
Oh, that's in the last 9 weeks.
Oh.
That has to be for the
Yes.
last 9
But then what's the substitution's not?
No, it is. It's like substitution, elimination.
And
It's
graphic.
it's one,
Then what are you
One-
asking?
1,
3
2.
by 3s.
Yeah, we're on the 3 by 3s, but you're giving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days to solve 2 by 2s
That's fine, yeah.
of all the ways.
So we're starting with substitution for 3 by 3s?
Yes, because what do we normally want to start with?
You just wanna jump into,
Because it was formulate was first, so we normally would write that. But who does it? Yeah.
cause
Because it
we
takes
wanna,
resources.
we can formulate and solve.
Right. So
For 3 by 3.
each resource has formulate listed first and goes to that.
Oh, we're
And
not
then-
talking about 2 by 2s.
No, we're on 3
We're
by
on
3s.
3
now.
by 3s.
So we have moved to 3 by 3s.
Okay, so
for the
whenever
second
I
time.
do 3 by 3s, we just go straight to normal person elimination. If we take the top 2 and the bottom 2, we eliminate a letter, we take
Yeah.
those 2 and eliminate the letter. We do it. What is
So
substitution?
you're doing by hand.
Yeah.
Well, it said by substitution. So when we did it, where one of them was already solved. It said like Z is 4, and then you
Oh.
substitute it, and then you substitute it.
Yeah.
Because it says substitution in the T.
So you are just given one.
Yeah,
It
that's
does.
specified.
It's 3B, so and I have it. It's a different T than I have. Oh, they're all 3B. Does it just say solve? 3 by 3s?
Yes,
Is that all? Where's 3B?
that's right. Oh, shit.
Oh my god, it scrolls for me. Solve systems with 3 by 3s and 3 variables by using elimination, technology, and substitution. So that's why it's.
Okay.
So that's what the substitution we're doing. Although, is it the substitution that we should be doing?
Is it not just
Christy called.
where you eliminate normally and then you substitute in your answers
I don't know.
to work backwards to get all 3?
On
Or
3
is
by
it
3,
3B?
on 3 by 3s, we're asking if, like, when you set up a 3 by 3, is one of them already solved? Like your first, like your second one's like Z equals 4, so it's already done. Is that what they mean by substitution?
But it could
Well,
also
that's not,
be
it doesn't
something like
limit,
that.
it doesn't limit to that,
So then you plug it in and it can be awful. It just depends.
It doesn't limit though to single variable, right? So substitution can be even a double variable, but you solve for X.
One,
and you
right, like
plug
this.
that. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, so it's not just Z equals 4, is my point.
It can be really ugly.
Oh, yeah.
Why are you laughing?
Because that's all we did last year. It was just D equals 4, and we go sub that in, and then we're good. And then we also did really strongly with technology, because Decimus, like we practiced when we did, I don't remember what it's called now, I'm blanking. When it was A inverse would be,
A inverse B?
B
Yeah.
is, what's that form called?
A inverse
Yeah, I mean, you look at,
You just put them in as a matrix?
Yeah,
Yes.
matrix.
I
So
mean,
that,
trying to teach that Gaussian elimination in a 4-day window when you have.
Isn't
to
that
do-
fun? I love
I mean,
we
it's
all
cool,
love
but
it in this room.
I mean-
The problem is,
In a
Even
linear,
my
al-
on-ramp takes that one.
in a linear algebra class, you're spending weeks on that, and we're only given 4 days to do this and
All of
other things. Yeah, so I mean, it's,
and that's why we did it in the, and then,
right,
and then we did row reduction too, right?
Just row echelon form.
Yes.
On the
In the
calculator?
matrix, yeah, in the matrices.
Okay.
So we did teach them those 2 forms in that. We're just crunched for time. Because we already, this stuff should be in this 9 weeks, but it's already moved to the next 9 weeks.
So we're trying to figure out a way to.
Can we use technology more, is the question, instead of doing more by hand?
That's totally up to you guys.
Yes, make the decision, do what we did last year.
Yes.
yeah, that's just such a loaded teak.
It is.
So many things in that, and you could spend 3 weeks on that teak alone.
I would love
I
that.
mean,
Noted.
Yes, you could.
I would.
it's just, I mean, I think our idea of it last year was like, what's the easiest way we can help them grasp this topic? Like,
Right.
what are the concepts that we can focus in on to help them at least be able to do this?
Right.
So maybe we didn't cover it all as in depth as we probably should have, but like I said, I mean, you talk Gaussian elimination. I mean, I just think back to linear algebra, and it's like the first month of the class. It's just like, so I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing, right, is the kids that really need that kind of depth are gonna get it,
Right.
right, when they go to linear algebra or
Sure.
when they go to, yeah, so.
I'll touch on it in honors a little bit. Maybe one or two things also apply.
Of calcium?
Because I'm still on pace, so I'm,
In college algebra, we do it for like 2 days, and they have to do it like even on their college tests. Give you that transition.
okay, cool, yeah, okay, so then we're just gonna make that work in those 5 days.
Just, I'd say just have a way for them to figure it out.
Okay, and then on our next transition, we are going to rewriting, so it says rewrite radical expressions that contain variables to equivalent forms. And then we're gonna solve equations involving rational equations. And we need to review exponent properties there. I remember last year the rewriting wasn't that hard, so it's only like 1 day and a practice in that class. But I remember the solving equations was kind of more challenging because we also had to review them over exponent rules, and that was when they were like, those kids were more present. These kids have been less present through there, so I don't know if they're, because exponent rules I know is second semester in Algebra 1, so I don't know how hard they would have been able to get it. So that's why it has 2 days. And then it went into convert radical expressions into expressions with rational exponents and solve. So be able to go back and forth between the forms. I need to check on that T code. It's 2A, 7H. Two A 7H. So that's the solve equations.
Solve equations, yeah, involving rational.
But I think what's the problem? Oh, and then 2A7G was the rewrite, and then we have to solve it. And I'm pretty sure the solving was not
What'd you say, solving what?
solving the equations.
Wait, I see who's looking at that. Carlson, have you've never taught 3x3s? Correct, obviously not. So, yeah, do you know how to do any of this?
Like, almost everything.
Here's one that my class can solve. You should check.
Okay, here's what I'm offering, is you can come by my classroom and I can teach it to you, because when I first taught 3x3s, I was on the struggle bus for a second, like the kids, and then it kind of clicked. But,
A lot of it, like my conference periods, I'll go to somebody's room like, hey, what's going on? And
okay.
kind of hit everybody.
Well, you can also come to me during lunch if you need to. So,
Okay.
because I'm right out there, and I can teach it to you for lunch. Or if you ever have a question on a lesson, right out there.
Yes, ma'am?
I'm still on like this 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And based on, like, you wrote the takes on here, but that doesn't necessarily say what we're actually doing. So I was interpreting and stressing it right now.
What's something
Wait,
that we're
where
trying
are
to
you
do behind me?
Next week.
Inequality.
Next week, you're doing inequalities.
For absolute
on a
values.
line, absolute
So
value,
graphing,
on a line and graphing.
Align.
like graphing the actual thing, so we do
Yes.
the notes, and then we're gonna actually solve by hand,
Yes.
and then in my open math over both.
No, there's, well, on here it doesn't have my open math.
I never like put them out of the map. I just kind of like y'all.
Yeah. Okay, and then
Whatever you want.
we do solving systems with substitution elimination, the notes, the practice, and then we're supposed to formulate and solve, but it's not just normal systems, it's also systems of inequalities.
Right. So it's
Yes.
all that has to be in there.
Okay,
You can't move it.
Right.
Next time.
but then if I solve all the normal systems before CBA, holiday, and PSAT, then I can just do inequalities after all.
Yes, right, is inequalities on the CBA?
I thought you said there was a test.
There
on
was,
there.
hey,
There's a question. That's
There
why.
is a tested question,
It was that last one we agreed to.
The graph one?
Yeah.
yes.
Alright.
2x2.
The 2x2 system, because you said, oh, they can do that.
Yeah, again.
It's gonna be so good. Okay,
Great. You said, Mom will be able to do that.
Oh, no. Like, maybe, but they're not, but maybe.
Well, if they can, they can. If they don't, they don't.
Well, you can use it as your assessment.
yeah, we'll see how it goes from there. But
Hey, they might shock you, and then you can take down some of those days
And move.
into.
I love how that's even.
3x3s.
Yep.
It is an option. They might just shock you.
okay, so and then I said we're gonna convert the radical expressions and then we're gonna have our first exam. So the first exam of that 9 weeks will have all of the 3x3 matrix stuff and then all the radical expressions and then solving radical equations.
Yep.
That's neat, and it's a pep rally day, but that's just has to be there for it to work. Calendar-wise.
Do y'all have all pay period?
Yes.
So that,
It only really affects. Oh, that
It doesn't affect
oh,
anybody.
I gotta talk to her.
does it
Not
affect you? It doesn't affect any of us.
Oh,
She's got algebra too.
You have algebra 2 8th period?
oh.
So it's just her one section.
Yeah, they,
Sorry, Laura, she left you.
Hey, but tomorrow is longer. We're switching to the new pep rally schedule.
Okay.
Okay, option 1.
Option 1. Okay, all right, and then we go into, after that test, we go into adding and subtracting. I thought it only take 1 day. Polynomials, that should be good. Jeff and I had talked that we need more time, we think, with polynomials and factoring and all that. So I was going to do multiplying just reggae and then special cases. Right?
Yes.
So
You want me to put a factoring question on here?
No, those will be the next 9 weeks. We're in
No,
the
you
second
just
one.
keep doing
You
it.
just ignore us now. You were doing so good.
You're doing great. Don't listen. Don't listen.
So we're gonna do multiplying normal numbers, and I think there's kids are gonna struggle with like my honors kids are struggling with multiplying. When it's like square, like x plus 3 squared, they're struggling to do that. Yes, we're doing that only. So I wanted 2 days just because if I knew my honors kids are struggling, I just kind of assumed that all of our kids are gonna really fall there, and I don't. So I'm thinking 2 days. 1 day of just the normal, and then 1 day of special, and then you need to bring over the other day. You can. Now I started only showing box method in that class for that because I know at some point we have to do 2x3s, so
Well, box method 2 also they use in science. So
for the Punnett square.
for Punnett square, so it would just be the easiest way to show all time polynomials using box because they're familiar with it in 2 classes.
And then, so it's technically moving us into factoring. They should have got factoring both a equal to 1 and a greater than 1 down for 1. So I didn't put I just put us mostly focusing on factoring when a is greater than 1 because I don't think we mostly did last year when it was equal to 1. And I'm thinking we need to do more of a greater than 1. Is that, yeah, maybe just start with it being equal to 1.
Well, I mean, what methods do y'all use to factor? Do y'all do the kickback method?
I do like my friend graduated this name.
Mine's pretty hard.
I think we all have a different form.
A factor?
Well, when a is greater than 1, I did the T-chart for when a is equal to 1.
What's mark?
Multiply first and last, add or subtract, to equal what you got, and then it's rewrite the expression, factor by grouping.
I think
It's all the same
what
idea.
do you do?
I don't have a cute little acronym.
I don't either.
Sorry, be disappointed.
Factor when a is
I
greater than
hate
1.
the
you
little
just-
hippity hoppity copy dot
Distributive
flip stuff
property.
like that drives me nuts because it's not good math
Mathematically
terminology.
accurate.
So yeah, I don't have any good answer for you there. Sorry.
I like this is the only time that I really like that one because I still to this day do not remember being taught how to factor. Like it was guess and check method, and that drove me insane because it would take forever to factor when a is greater than 1. The guess and check method. We went to high school.
That's what I guess. That's how I was.
It drove me crazy because I would
That's
sit
why I
there.
wanted to become a math teacher. I thought that was like the most fun
Guess
ever.
and check method. Drove me crazy. This is a lot. But we talked about making more factoring, so I split them up into certain days. So factoring when a is greater than 1 will be day 1, and then factoring when there's a GCF on day 2, and then factoring the different sums of squares and trinomials, and then factor by grouping for 2 days, and then factoring by synthetic, and then factoring all forms. Exam question.
I think it'd be a
Wait.
good idea to have a factoring exam.
We're doing synthetic next time.
It was in last year's,
Okay.
so I assume, I guess sometimes that's, you know, the time of year. But that's what, and we talked about factoring, we needed to hit harder and more intense. And when I was looking back, we didn't like split them up, we kind of like just said, we're gonna factor this day and this day, and we didn't say what we're gonna do on each day.
Yeah, I mean,
I think I gave us more time, how many more of these?
I guess kind of like what I was saying earlier with factoring, you know, I felt like years ago, and well, this is pre-COVID, so take it what you will, but I felt like if our algebra 2 kids learned anything, they knew how to factor a quadratic when A was 1 for sure. When A was at 1, maybe a little bit more of a struggle, maybe those special cases, a little bit more of a struggle. Like my calculus kids still struggle with x cubed minus a cubed. You know, like that special case. I put it on one of their tests recently and a lot of them missed it. So, and I've done an example in class of it. So, you know, but yeah, but factoring the quadratics, I just feel like it's such a valuable skill.
So it could be just a test over like polynomials with like the operations and factoring.
Yeah, where we do all the things, you know,
And then there's an exam over just
Synthetic.
that. Yes.
and all that.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Does that sound fair?
So my kids went from 100 to 63,
So when
and
we
then
did
after 63, the
synthetic
next grade was
last
48.
year, because like I said, some of these topics were in
There's
pre-cal,
nothing
so
between us.
I
Well, that's what I was
That's
saying,
pretty
right, on the exam right now,
That's
that's what, looking,
Did
but I only, you know, I only have one.
Right, I only have one as well.
I thought in algebra 2,
Yeah, I just think it's interesting.
all we did
63
was
higher.
synthetic
What's
division, and
38
we didn't go any further with it. I didn't
Not
think it.
Now that I'm looking for the
Mine's
next word, it doesn't,
I have
I don't have those.
165.
I thought we
But then
just did
everything
synthetic
else
division
is
and
45
that
of
was,
Yeah.
we talked
That's a
about
huge
the
20-point
zero
block.
remainder
That's not,
and whatever, but
and then I have kids that are at 30s, 25.
Because in our notes, I
10.
have factor by GCF, I have factor by grouping, I have when A is greater than 1, when it's sum and difference of cubes, but I don't have synthetic factor. But that's I think that's a totally separate T, 7C and D, 7C and D, 7C and D. 7C. What is determine my
she needs a cart. Always has us. Always has a cart.
Yeah.
He's got a computer cart. I want one.
So,
Maybe we did do it later because it says the T is determine the quotient of a polynomial of degree 3 and a degree 4 when divided by a polynomial of degree 1
or no,
and degree 2.
the next.
We can talk about it.
And then 70 is determine the linear factors of a polynomial function of degree 3 and degree 4. Do we cover that later or more in depth?
Okay, so the general consensus was, since we have so little time, probably Chad said lean more on technology than by hand. I personally like to solve 3x3s by hand because I think it's fun, but I also like math. And I enjoy a full half page of,
Yeah.
you know,
My
equation.
on-ramps hated me that I had to do one.
But if you see, when the first example that we do with these kids on 3x3s like that, they're gonna be like, what? So much math.
I don't see it.
Yes.
I looked at the calendar and it's not.
I'll have to go back and review myself.
I know we
I
did
haven't
it.
done it in a long time, and I feel like we didn't do Gaussian either because we spent solving them we just
I've done
started solving them by hand.
Oh, there you go.
Not doing
Synthetic
Gaussian.
division notes. I just found it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we did it. We did it basically like that was the factoring unit. It was right down. It's under
Yeah.
2.
Okay.
So I think, are the coaches for JV football gone? JV away today because varsity's home?
Yes,
Oh.
yes, JV's away freshmen.
So I need to go get my kids.
Do you have the calendar in front of you? Can you see it?
Walnut Creek.
I've just been looking at the notes.
The coaches always
Like
pick
the
up
notes
the
you were
kids.
talking about and trying to find
The
it.
coaches are gone, whatever random day that is. I need to get-
Okay, so are we caught up to our next PLC day? As far as the
Yes.
calendar, where we can go back and evaluate and see if we need to adjust?
Yes.
What is that,
Okay.
October 12th or something?
Yes.
11.
11?
We're having a half day, so that should be plenty
Is
of
it gonna
time.
be the morning or afternoon?
I think morning, I think we alternate.
Morning.
But yes, I believe so.
So if we need to go back and look at 3x3s, and if we need more time, we can do that.
Yes, we can
Sounds
break
like a
that.
plan, Stan.
Okay, well, y'all have to go back to class, so.
Yes,
Thank you.